Recording is on.
Hello everyone, this is DXDAO's weekly strategy call, February 4th. Today on the agenda we got DXDAO DXbiz review, swapper single token staking discussion, a discussion around ETH Denver, possible panel with Tally Cash on a topic of building a DAO and cross-chain governance, codeless conduct, bounty brainstorming, and feedback with initial thoughts from using Coordinate. First on the agenda, DXDAO's DXbiz review. Sky taking the stage with a lovely presentation. You got the mic.
Cool. You guys can see it, right?
Yeah, it looks great.
Sweet. So it's going to be broken up into a couple different parts, but you'll see the flow as we go through. So this is the DXbiz review of basically 2021, and then a little bit of an outlook for 2022. Yeah, and so we'll go through it. I mean, it's long, but we can. I'm not going to go through it too slowly. So as just to reiterate, the DXbiz squad's goals in general is to focus on opportunities and partnerships that help expand awareness of DXDAO and further the success of DXDAO's products. That was, this is all kind of established at probably the beginning of last year, as the squad became more solidified, and it's also has a pretty key role of being a set of links that connect a lot of the different squads and product teams within DXDAO's community and promoting information flow throughout, and then also to other entities in the space that we interact with and talk to. And so this is the story for 2021 of DXbiz. It basically was a year where DXbiz squad basically took kind of a form and structure and became more actionable from what it was probably in 2020, which was kind of just floating around as DXDAO was being formed. I'd say in 2021, we interacted, explored, and chatted with hundreds of entities and people in the space on behalf of DXDAO. We have a few kind of core contributors of the squad, but really in this like new age of what a DAO is and what kind of a business area of a DAO is, it's actually made up of the entire community. So including all core contributors and actually the wider community. So anyone representing that feels that they're a part of DXDAO, that could talk about DXDAO, that could bring opportunities to DXDAO, that could work on those opportunities as well. I think, one of the goals was to kind of something that Elon's always been talking about is really, DAO's work on initiative, and the DXbiz squad basically is a team of initiators. So like there's lots of ideas and opportunities that are out there and float around, but unless there's people that are taking the initiative to act on those, push them along, capitalize on them, nothing will get done. And so here are some of the kind of core people that have really participated in the squad on over the course of the year, but there are many others as well. So thanks everyone. As I said, it's kind of, we formed this structure to make it easier for people to understand what DXbiz squad is and how to kind of interact with it. It's like, this kind of tracking and knowledge and of opportunities as a base. We put a more structure around the Monday regular DXbiz calls, which is one of the main calls for probably the community and for a lot of interesting topics that we talk about. It's also one of the main calls where we bring in either new people that are interested in DXDAO or projects that are related to DXDAO and may want to present. So we filter and bring those in as well. We do a weekly kind of huddle where the DXbiz squad team talks about a lot of the things that are going on and plan for that week and what to focus on. A lot of it's like analyzing big picture things related to DXDAO and how we can influence those paths and the decisions that are being made. Yeah, I guess we expand the amount of contributors that are able to contribute to the squad and how they can bring opportunities in and who they should talk to and move opportunities through the process. We've become more active versus being more passive probably in 2021 or in 2020. And then we have, the squad has very close ties, obviously, with DX Voice, DX Ventures, and then the product and governance squads, because participating in those is how we are able to kind of represent those areas to the wider ecosystem and parties that are outside of the DXDAO community. And so here's just a few pages on, things that, as you move through the year, you kind of, there's lots of things that are happening and you never really kind of, I think it's good to look back and see things that have happened. And so if you like compare it to 2020, when there wasn't much happening in DXDAO, I think 2021, you'll start to see a lot of like interesting and unique things that happened in 2021, including, bringing communities, smaller, like, niche communities and things to a Swapper as it launched and became the home for some of those tokens. It became the first place for the first ever LP DAO, which is really interesting because that's becoming a very common, like that's almost a community owning their liquidity. That was the start of projects and communities owning their own liquidity by organizing as a DAO. And so you'll see more and more projects doing that in different ways, but this was like the simple version of it, but it really kick-started things, and having it be on Swapper was pretty cool. As Swapper launched, we had lots of some farming collaborations. Badger DAO was one of the bigger ones. Obviously it's ongoing still, but there's been, things that happen with it. Integrations with 1inch has been really cool. Putting Swapper and allowing Swapper to get traffic through that. Carrot related highlights, obviously the DXDAO using Carrot itself as Carrot launched, Agave using Carrot, and then most recently use case in the Atlantis World Grant. And then so DXGov related, this is kind of DXbiz representing a lot of the areas of DXDAO. One of the most popular conversations with many people in the space is related to DXGov, our governance 2.0, DXVote. And so even though these things are, coming along and some exist and some don't, like we don't have many people using like the same system that DXDAO currently uses today, but we talk a lot about, and we have a lot of interest from people and communities in what we talk about DXDAO will eventually do. And so that's good, but we aren't getting ahead of ourselves because we're not promising anything that we don't have today. And then the highlight, I guess, was Augur announcing that they were going to use our product suite. At least the announcement of it got some attention. That's ongoing, and we'll hopefully progress with that. And then Omen, obviously people know the story of Omen, is kind of on the side for right now, but we did, it's still something that DXDAO owns. It's a recognizable product. We have the potential to continue to make it a well-known, talked about thing. And so one of the interesting things in Lisbon was the panel we did, and had great people on there, and had a great conversation around that. Here's a handful of more things that kind of were, great explorations and connections in 2021 with Reflexer, Chainlink thing that they made for Carrot, which we ended up not using currently, but could be using Carrot V1. Participation in a bunch of different events like ETH Global, the Daoist, LizCon. Establishing multi-chain, like abilities, and then more on 1inch. A few other ones: Hats, Arbitrum, Opolis, and then conversations and proposals and things related to XDAI chain, stake rewards, the creation of Gnosis Chain Innovation DAO as the merger happened between the two, getting Gnosis Chain rewards, conversations with Tally Cash and potential integrations, and now upcoming ETH Denver. Here's a whole bunch of other things that the squad has pushed, which is like kind of smaller things that all add up together to like grow the awareness of DXDAO and its products, from integrations to using tools to things related to DX Voice and our community, exploring products that that are decentralization focused, like Pocket Network, and then the push to get many podcast interviews and the trivia quiz and all things like that initiated. Quickly, DX Ventures is kind of a key piece. It runs on its own, but it's highly influenced by the DXbiz squad. And so we had representation at ETHVC in Paris, which is the first real like event that DX Ventures kind of showed up at. And then we've done a handful of investment grants and explored a bunch of other ones as well, which have, were filtered through the process and have other ones ongoing. I think it's important to just look back at things that the squad and DXDAO in general, could learn from. This is a review, so these are things that we ended up doing, and like we learned where we can, maybe they were mistakes, maybe they were missed opportunities, but we can at least analyze them and learn from them. Some things related to partnerships, some things related to like Swapper and Swapper token. So like we, kind of Badger and a few other ones are kind of yield aggregators, and it probably ended up in general, being a decision that could hurt or either was good or could have hurt Swapper and Swapper token. So like, should we have tried to avoided yield aggregators? There was a potential opportunity to partner with Gnosis around Omen, which was a interesting conversation. Ended up not happening. We had conversations with Prime DAO about some of the things they were working on. We at the time had Aqua, which was going to funnel projects into Swapper pools. Prime DAO had kind of like their own version of how to launch tokens, and could potentially, and we could still possibly explore this, but funnel projects into Swapper pools as well. There was an interesting, as Aqua was being worked on, Gnosis auction was, also happening, and there was potentially some connection there. There was, some awkward conversations that happened, but ended up not kind of combining forces there, and kind of both of those things. Now Gnosis auction is not being, needs resources, but Aqua is not being worked on either. So potentially there's something there that could have or could still kind of come together. Gnosis also kind of abandoned GPV1, which is what Mesa was based on, and moved to GPV2, and it was highly tied to DXDAO, and kind of whether that could have been tied into like the next version of Mesa or potentially Swapper would have been interesting to combine maybe. And now they obviously have their own kind of cow swap version of it. I don't know if you could also use that underlying technology for your own product. Launching Swapper token was kind of, we thought it was going to be this, very powerful, exciting thing. However, I think maybe we're realizing now, we're analyzing how to potentially correct some of the things, but did we launch Swapper token too early? If it was going to be this kind of force that we could use with other communities, then financial value that we could give as rewards for farms and things. And as it decreased in value, it became less of a tool, I think, or less of a financial incentive for that, and then became more of a governance distribution. Polygon Network is the other interesting thing, where we kind of made a decision to not lean into Polygon. Was that smart? Should we reanalyze that? Should we do that in the future? It definitely became a home for DeFi. And so did we consciously do that, or did we kind of just more lean towards Gnosis chain / XDAI chain because we had closer connections to it? And then Swapper, we bet pretty big on Arbitrum for it to launch, and right when it came out, it seemed like a good idea as it was happening, and it's gotten less traction and things than we thought. And so we're going to have a call with Arbitrum to see how we can, continue with them, and how we could help Arbitrum, and Arbitrum could help DXDAO. And so that would be interesting to analyze as well. And so these are all very big questions, and we can discuss these in more detail at another time. But it's like things that I think we should talk about and discuss to learn from, and then hopefully position us to like make better offerings and make better decisions in the future. This real quickly is what the budget was for the DXbiz squad in 2021. I think we ended up being still smaller than that because we didn't ramp up kind of like the whole suite of products and things that we were expecting in DXDAO as fast as we did. And so we have a whole bunch of people here that are kind of contributing some percentage of their time to the DXbiz squad, but it kind of is not even 2 full-time employees kind of doing it full-time. And so I think as we scale up and the products are ready, there will be like a need to really focus, like really have people going full-time on this kind of initiative. This is kind of related to that. It's, what this squad is doing is selling DXDAO and its products, and its products are being materialized as we speak, and some exist and some don't. Swapper has really been the main product that actually is live, actually exists, and that's where a lot of the focus and interaction with parties outside of DXDAO has been. And so Carrot has that potential as well. It's like a really simple version of Carrot, but yes, Carrot and hopefully Swapper become the two that we can kind of sell to other communities out there and get people using as they mature and come into fruition. And so this is like a interlude basically, and Nathan's going to run through this, and I think it's really good because it's high level. It's really important. It's addressing like what it means to like build products as a DAO. And so I'll let Nathan kick it off here, and I think it's really interesting here.
Yeah, I'll take you on a path with 4-leaf clovers. 2022 is not the year of DAOs, it's the year of DXDAO. We're gonna make it. So first, an overview of traditional development. One often hears both, it's a genius idea, but also at the same time, ideas are a dime a dozen. Ideas are cheap. So it boils down to the implementation. And for that matter, even in implementation itself is no longer sufficient. It's in crypto, it's more about the delivery. So new products in the space come out every once in a while, but we only see the end product. Nobody asks how long it's taken those teams to build those products. And sometimes it really takes more than a year. Sometimes it takes 2 years. I know teams that have been in stealth for many, many months before they even announce that they're building something. And it takes them many months after that until they, come to the point that they really deliver and make it ready for use. So the whole process takes a long time. You have startups raising seed rounds from VCs. They get incubated. They work in stealth for a year before they deliver. And in the end, it's even a single purpose application. It's a really well-oiled machine. When time comes to present to the public, they have this solid support from the VC's network of friends and media. So this is pretty much what's happening in the centralized world with traditional development and what we're against as a DAO. Now, in contrast, I'll give an overview of what DXDAO is doing and how it's radically different. And it kind of makes it a lot more difficult for us. So we're a global collective, remote-only, crypto-native, sovereign, and we've gathered around the development and governance of decentralized protocols. So as a community, we're not just some single-purpose startup with one product. We're not a one-trick pony. And building open source software happens in the public. We have no headquarters, no CEO, directors, and all of this requires contributors to take initiative, organize. We do have our daily and weekly coordination calls, but contributors are in different time zones and mostly work on their own time. So what this means about the work process is an idea can come out of anybody, but nobody can single-handedly decide what they would work on themselves or even change the course of work for others unless it first meets the approval of the whole community, to get everyone else on board with the idea. And of course, this is a feature. It takes a little understanding for someone to understand how this is a feature, but still an idea does take a lot of time to crystallize before it's taken seriously by such a decentralized autonomous collective or even attempt to come to the implementation stage. So it's pretty much the responsibility of community members to ensure that resource management happens efficiently and trustlessly. Members need to be mindful of the human resource capacity on one hand and the financial sustainability of the collective on the other hand. In order to facilitate all of this, we have these common practices and infrastructure put in place to achieve security, accountability, clarity, and consensus. Most of this within DXDAO happens on the on-chain governance platform DXvote, live in often recorded public group calls like this one, and in written communication on the public forum and in the chat rooms. That is either our DAO Talk forum or Discord and Keybase. Now, the DAO is building and governing several protocols, but the output from the current available human resource is already at capacity. So many contributors wear more than one hat and regularly multitask. The demand for human capital is clearly unmet. So work is not only prioritized, but even projects on focus take time to move the needle. So it's not like just shifting priorities and moving faster. Even after we prioritize, we're still with a huge backlog, and it takes a lot of time to take a step forward. And while increasing headcount could improve operational efficiency, we should also be mindful it needs to be well organized to be efficient, so it doesn't happen at the expense of efficiency. This is something we should have always on our minds. Patient you must have, young Padawan. So young Taoists, please do have patience. All right, well, we're not finished yet. We know when you're finished yet. So the organization's efficiency depends on how its finance can help allocate resources to support its goals while maintaining a balance between cost and revenue. And given the decentralized nature of the DAO, with the flat structure that we have, the resource planning is a shared responsibility among all of the members. And even single product startups take years of development and a lot of external support. So those cannot be compared to a DAO like DXDAO. The scale of DXDAO, scaling the DAO efficiently could entail the following steps. Continuing support and growing DXDAO's marketing and communication effort for product presentation, promotion, both internally and externally. And this is utilizing DX Voice, Initiative DAO, doing PR campaigns. Another step forward towards scaling DXDAO is keeping support of development and prioritizing protocols like Swapper, DXVote, Carrot, allowing reasonable increase in human resource spending in order to seek valuable contributors to help with the above two. Measure risk and deploy finances to earn yield that could partially offset the aforementioned expenditures, efficiently communicate with protocol users and wider community members through guilds, seeking sustainable and reputable business-to-business opportunities to leverage the existing supported product suite, sponsoring hackathons to encourage developers to build on our stack and possibly attract some to become DXDAO community members full-time. Whenever possible, pick up the protocols in Limbo, complete work and integrate with the other products. Aqua, Omen can easily be integrated within the whole suite of dApps that we have. If needed, shift resources to develop novel protocols that provide the DAO with an advantage over competitors, but only such that have short time to market periods, so they do not affect the efficiency and efficacy, rather provide the DAO with an opportunity to improve those. Also, improving existing infrastructure to further secure and improve operations, DXvote, DAO Talk, finding DAO Talk and Keybase alternatives, investing, incubating, and leveraging other talent in the space. And to give an overview of the bullet points that I just listed, it's basically the responsibility of everyone to be mindful of how the financial resource is utilized to support the promotion of what we are doing, the attraction of new human resource that will help us efficiently work towards further developing and building protocols that will be scaling the DAO. And now an interesting slide. Keep calm and biddle, and no regrets. You know what I'm saying? That's what's up. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Nathan. So this is a really good high level overview of thinking about DXDAO, and it's some of the things that we, like the DXbiz squad is thinking about, because it's putting into perspective how the DAO can move forward. Like there's not other examples of how a DAO such as DXDAO has like progressed in the past and built products and succeeded and connected with other communities. So like we as a community are basically forming this and deciding. And yes, there are the other communities in DAOs that do it their own ways, but DXDAO is doing it its own way and with its core principles at heart. And so it's important to like kind of think about this very high level approach as we work on the smaller, more focused things that the teams and the people and the contributors are working on. And so this kind of jumps to 2022 outlook. And so we heard about 2021, and so I guess the theme for 2022 is kind of expansion, and that's expansion of, this is not just DXbiz Squad, but this is like DXDAO in general. DXDAO has the opportunity to become a more well-known force in the DAO Web3 space. Even though we participate very, regularly to this community, you've seen, a year ago, not many people knew about DXDAO, just other than the people in the community. And now, with our efforts of attending conferences, sponsoring things, reaching out to many projects, talking, inviting people to our calls, attracting new contributors, I think DXDAO is in a much bigger, more well-known position today. And then it's setting up for even expanding that in 2022. And it's included in the EVM, like the EVM space and the Ethereum space. And that's also more mainstream awareness. And that could be as DAO, we're seeing DAO articles in Forbes and the New Yorker and things. And DXDAO is not mentioned in those, but because they're currently talking about DAOs that are, like the gimmicky ones that are buying constitutions and shit. And so, but more and more DAOs and communities are realizing that actually having true classic DAOs or proper DAOs or sovereign DAOs or the DAO that DXDAO is, and not just some gimmicky DAO, is going to become more and more important for regulation reasons, for actual on-chain decentralized coordination. And so DXDAO has been doing a lot of work, and the lessons that we've learned we can share with the world, basically. And so 2022 is also this opportunity for larger opportunities, and that includes a lot more DAO-to-DAO alignments, things like token swaps, really partnering with other big communities and DAOs in the space, like doing more incubation, which we're doing a tiny bit of, but we can do a lot more of. And that becomes just like DXDAO umbrella that becomes very powerful and known for value creation. And people who have an idea like want to do it under the DXDAO umbrella because they know they'll get the benefits of everything else that comes with that. And then there's like big ideas like additional, and we've seen a little bit of that in the space, but M&A, mergers and acquisitions, and then also exploring new ecosystems, which obviously Geronimo and other people have talked about a lot, and it's something that we're going to have to do at some point. And outside the maybe core Ethereum space, where else should we be? What are the advantages of being there? What are the tools, and how does it fit with DXDAO's core principles, and where can we expand? And so this is the last, sorry, I just gave it away. The second to last slide. DXbiz Squad is maturing, but DXDAO is maturing in general. And as we continue this growth path, the product teams, I think, will start to have more solid focus. Currently we're like just like a startup. Everyone does a lot of things. We're actually a group of startups, and everyone does everything across many different areas. And so as that focus narrows and we become more focused on the success of the single thing we're working on, that will happen with the product teams, but that will probably happen with the squads as well, and DX Voice and DXbiz Squad, and potentially almost become their own DAOs rather than squads. And so this will all grow, like the last slide, grow the awareness of DXDAO. That will open up more opportunities, which then will have to be analyzed and filtered and prioritized and taken advantage of. And then, and all these, as I mentioned, all the problems that DXDAO has been solving and is paying, is investing into solving and all that kind of things, those will all be lessons that we'll be able to share and provide to the outside world as well. And DXDAO GMI. So that's the full presentation. If there's any questions, happy to answer. But I know we have some other things. We only have 10 minutes left. So this was recorded, and this will also go up on the, I guess, we can put the deck on the forum as well for other community members who have missed this to see and read too.
Awesome. Dave, do you have the readiness to fire up your slide?
Wait, I guess before we do that, should we just pause? I guess, like, yeah, Scott, I think that was a really good job. There was a lot of clapping, so I guess that was everything. Yeah, everyone kind of felt that was really good to look at all those things. I think it was just really helpful to look at things over like a year timeline, and especially when you get into some of like the relationships and opportunities and how those take a long time to develop, and how an opportunity can morph into a different opportunity with the same partner. So I think like all of the opportunities, even some of the ones you said, like missed opportunities, like we should be like, those are things that we can kind of keep coming back to and kind of foster over an extended time period. And then really excited about some of the things you said about looking forward, about what are the new opportunities for DXbiz, you know, and partnering with other groups, even getting some M&A and acquisitions. I think there's a lot of like really cool things we can do going forward and build on the stuff from the past year. So.
Totally.
Yeah. As Chris says, this is really interesting. Kind of helps us reflect on the interrelations of everything. And I would like to thank Keenan and Chris for pushing for this initiative for DXDAO and the different squads to do these reviews, because they're very beneficial moving forward.
Wayne, did you have a question? You have your hand raised? Or are you clapping?
He's waiting very patiently.
No questions. They were mistaken.
No, it happened to me. When you want to like clap your hands, you have to not raise your hand. Press the
Oh yeah, no. Newbie mistake. Okay.
Yeah.
Working your way around Jitsi. Yeah. Yeah. In Zen, what's the sound of one hand clapping? That's one. That is what Zen students ask themselves, or what the master asks the students. What is the sound of one hand clapping? Use your neck. Yeah, that works.
Yeah, if you guys are happy to spare another 10-15 minutes, maybe I can go over a quick Treasury report.
Lovely, let's go.
Wonderful. Let me just share my screen. And you should be able to see it.
Yeah, beautiful.
Great. So, yeah, just wanted to really take a quick look at the Treasury and what has happened kind of over the past year. So 2021 has been kind of like a big year, I would say, for the Treasury. A lot of stuff we've done, a lot of stuff we could have done, but just wanted to take a little bit of a look back and share a bit what happened and what the Treasury is looking at like right now. And Keenan, please no funny jokes in the presentation, because I have feelings too. So let's take a look. So at the end of the year 2021, this is kind of what our Treasury looked like. So as typical, we still retain a majority of our funds on mainnet, but something that's been happening is that we actually hold a lot more funds on XDAI. Of course, a lot of the activities such as proposals, worker proposals have been taking place on XDAI, so we keep some operational funds there as well. But mostly this is also driven by the fact that the buybacks are mostly happening on XDAI as well, or rather I should say exclusively now happening on XDAI. So we've had quite a bit of DXD as well in our XDAI treasury, which is also very fitting though, given that we'll be able to deploy our vesting contracts through the new quick wallet scheme. And in honor of Chris, I did keep Arial as the default font in this presentation. And to start, I just want to take a big look back at how our treasury looked like January 1st, 2021. So this is, and there's also additional DXD in the GP relay, as Chris said right now. That's correct. That's not accounted for in here. So this is actually what our treasury looked like beginning of 2021. So we really had 4 tokens plus some other tokens, which, you know, I just excluded for the sake of it. We had a great $450 in DAI, 35 USDC, and the rest pretty much spread between Ether and DXD, which amounted to roughly 18.2 million. And then over the first quarter, few changes here with some acquisition of other stablecoins, driven a bit by the diversification effort we had at DXDAO over the past year. You know, looking a bit better in the stablecoin department with roughly 0.8 million of DAI, USDC up to 0.06, and then we also acquired USDT and synthetic US dollar. The treasury overall also grew, mostly driven, of course, by the increase in price of ETH. So we went from 728 to 952, but also very significantly the price of DXD, which went from 133 to 303 US dollars. And then, of course, as you mostly are familiar, we continued the diversification effort over the year. So we kind of see these stablecoin amount increasing, you know, almost 3 million of DAI and USDC, and topping up USDT and SUSD to 1 million each. And as we move on, also diversifying into different assets. So, of course, last year we were, well, we still are quite bullish on RAI, and we were, for a long period, the largest holder of RAI overall. So at roughly 3 million RAI, which, well, at the end of the year. But here we have 500,000 RAI at roughly $3, 2.98. It's a bit higher now, but at the time that was the price, 1.5. We acquired some liquidity USD, and we also had the swapper airdrop, of course, of which a large portion sits in the DXDAO treasury. And that's also what kind of skews the price up a bit in this quarter. So we had like a total treasury value of 112 million, strongly driven, of course, by the swapper price at that point in time. And then towards the end of the year, we just really topped up on some stable coins. So as I said, RAI increased to up to 3 million. And we also kind of did our first yielding transaction, I would say, by acquiring some Lido staked ETH. So as you can see here, we had around 503 Lido staked ETH. It's a rebasing token, so it's always a bit more. Every day it gets rebased. And we kind of closed the year off just shy of 100 million. Of course, this is also highly dependent on when you take the price snapshot. As you know, we all know the token prices are highly volatile. And I'm reading the chat whenever I'm pausing, just in case you're wondering. So here's a quick overview. Again, you know, the third quarter had a high amount of swapper, which you know, kind of pushed it over, which has seen a bit of price decrease since then. So, you know, overall, I would say compared to the beginning of the year, we've had quite a good year. We've been able to diversify quite well. And yeah, that's looking pretty good. Here's another view, a bit in a more time view of how the treasury evolved. So we see, of course, again, price changes happening. Also, DXD has been increasing a bit, as you can see towards the end. So this is actually calling the vesting contract. So DXDAO is actually itself vesting DXD. So that's also regularly coming in. And then the pink or purple, whatever color you want to call that, is kind of like the swapper token launch. And we can also look at this taking out, looking just the stables. Here we can see really like the effort that went into the diversification push last year. So we really went from pretty much nothing to 12.3 million in stables. We should be around that right now. Currently a bit less because we just moved 1 million to XDAI to LP. But, you know, I think that's a pretty significant milestone reached for the treasury, going from 0 to 12.3 now. And if you take into account burn rate of around 200K a month, I did the calculation earlier. Now, of course, I forgot, but that should be roughly 5 years runway in stables, which is pretty decent. And of course, we have other stables as well. If you take into account our LP positions, we have exactly as Chris is typing right now in the chat. And then one thing we also did, of course, was start staking. So I also included StakeWise in Rocket Pool, which is currently like a reflection of our positions right now. So we didn't actually have these at the end of Q4, but just wanted to give a bit of an overview of that. And we went with smaller amounts to kind of see how the staking would work, holding these tokens directly in the treasury. We also did have a temporary small issue with Stakewise because the token rewards were not showing up in the treasury for some reason. But I think that was just really an Etherscan issue, because when you actually go and query them in the contract, it refreshes it. And here's like a little bit of an overview. So we have currently, these were taken today, so we have 506 staked ETH. As I said, this is rebasing, so it's continually increasing. So we earned $11,400 on that. The second one is Stakewise, so we only have 300 ETH in there, and we did it at a bit later time point. So we have a reward of 0.66 RETH2. And the last one is actually Rocket Pool, which doesn't have a fantastic statistics page. So Rocket Pool ETH, the price of Rocket Pool ETH actually just increases as more Rocket Pool ETH is minted. And you can actually, if you use a great browser wallet like Frame, you can actually add the DXDAO avatar as a view-only address, and then you can actually just connect to the websites and you can see what we've been staking on, etc. So
they just on the staked ETH, because one of those does not show up. You were saying one of those does not show up in Etherscan, or they all do now?
It does now. So that's actually Stakewise. So if you look at Stakewise, you can see the rewards here. But when I went into Etherscan to check our DAO avatar, it wasn't actually showing up. But
oh, now I see something that there's like 0.7079
now
ETH2, and I'm guessing that's
now it's correct. So what I did is actually I just went into the Stakewise contract, and then you can also look at it here at balance of. And then here you can see the amount. And once I did this, it showed up in the treasury. So I guess this just triggered something on the Etherscan side to update it. But that's really good because now they just show up at ERC20 tokens. So the main difference actually between the three tokens is that with Stakewise, you actually get this reward ETH, right? So if we wanted to compound this or stake this again, we would have to transfer it to the multi-sig, turn it into staked ETH, and then send it back to the treasury. While Lido just rebases and Rocket Pool just increases in value. Rocket Pool, there it is. But yeah, it's quite neat.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's just interesting that they have three different ways, really, of interest accruing, right? I guess the one you're saying is a separate token, and the other two have ways. Like one is probably like the C token or the A token model from Aave, where like you have the token and the interest is baked in, and then rebase is always
exactly. And I think that was also the purpose to like start with a lower amount, just to see, of course we hold these funds in a DAO stack, voting machine and everything. So sometimes interacting with protocols can be a bit more difficult, but it looks like we really don't have any issues holding any staked assets, which is, I think, really good, which means, over this year, we can look as well at increasing by a significant amount our staked ETH, I think that's...
But it would be good to look at the actual like cost for each of these on like a, because I guess the Rocket Pool, I'm thinking, well, there's really two ways to the cost. Like one is like how much of the yield from ETH staking is actually accruing to the token itself.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm sure there's a small little bit of difference in each one, or like accruing. Like I don't know how they're taking the fees off of them, but like maybe there's something there. And then two is like our management of that position. And I'm thinking specifically of the Rocket Pool one, that just having another token means that we would have to do additional transactions to re-compound that. And so those transactions cost money, proposal money. So maybe, I don't know if maybe Rocket Pool has a better yield that they're giving to them too. But there's there's probably some cost analysis that we could think about in terms of which one and what's better for our like operations, both like technical and.
Yeah, definitely. And just, I know it's a bit confusing, but the one with the second token is actually Stakewise, and they confusingly called it RETH2, but it's actually Stakewise. It's not Rocket Pool. Yeah.
That is confusing.
Exactly. Yeah, no, totally. So with Stakewise, we kind of have the decision to make, like, of course, we have to do it manually, which is always, as you mentioned, the proposal to do. On the other hand, we can also choose, do we want to compound it or do we want to sell it and use it for operational purposes, right? But I think that's something, yeah, we should look into and see what makes most sense for the DAO. Of course, it's very nice to also just have like passive ones like Rocket Pool and Lido where we don't really need to do anything. And if we ever do want to liquidate some of it, we can then just do a proposal, right? So that's definitely something to take into account, yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it on the staked ETH part. And then coming to Venki's question about swapper LPs, we currently have around 4.2 million LPing. And our only position on mainnet is actually DAI ETH with a current liquidity of 933,000. And we actually made an all-time gain of 2.16% on this. So this is counting from when the funds were deposited up to today. I actually took these today and I'm not Q4, so these are actually updated to today. So we made a small profit there, I guess. And then on XDAI, it looks a bit different. We have the same pool DAI, well, XDAI wrapped ETH with 1.6 million liquidity almost. This also made a profit of around 2.46. Similar scenario for DAI USDC where we have 1.1. And then 2 with a slightly worse performance. So we have wrapped Bitcoin ETH at the bottom, which had a slight decrease of 2.23%. And then the one with a more substantial loss was really the DPI ETH pool, where we lost around 11.6%. And these are currently our live LP positions. I know there will be more coming, especially on XDAI, where we're planning to do XDAI wrapped ETH to become kind of the largest pool there. So we'll see this increasing over the year. And then probably also worth taking a look at these other LP positions we have and if it makes sense to continue keeping these, or if we want to do some adjustments, that's something probably also makes sense to do throughout the year. And then ultimately, just a quick look at ENS domains. There's actually not much to look at. I just renewed a couple of them which were expiring this year. I believe we just have DXD and Mix, which expire towards the end of the year. So yeah, just those to renew, but all looking good in that department. And yeah, that's actually the end of the presentation. Don't want to keep you too much here. I know we're over time, but if anyone has any questions, happy to address or yeah.
Sky, that was a laugh.
Yeah, he just laughed in my face. Disrespectful.
What do you mean? That's being happy. I'm happy you made this, Dave. Thanks.
Awesome. And yeah, we actually
entertained.
We also have a few people actually regarding Treasury stuff coming to our happy hour in Denver. So very much looking forward to that. You know, I think when we look at why DXDAO is not yielding that much, I think a big barrier we currently have is also technological if we want to do stuff directly from the DAO. So I think, you know, a great thing this year would be either to find a partner who can work with us on some, you know, perhaps relayers or something like this, or, you know, also something like a Zodiac module or our own relayer allowing us to like do some limited moves, etc., which is, you know, we have a lot of funds and putting them to work obviously makes a lot of sense. I think staking Ether is a really good initial path, and I think we should increase that position. But for a lot of other things, it's very difficult for the DAO to interact, as you need to sign stuff, you need to authorize tokens, you need to claim stuff, and you know, with proposals and the way the DAO is currently set up on mainnet, that's very challenging. But I think that's really one of the main things to address this year, and I think it should be relatively easy for the DAO as well to cover its yearly runway simply by yielding at the current rates. Of course, whether rates stay stable or not is a different question. But in the current system, I think that should be relatively easy to do, and obviously makes logical sense. So.
Yeah, it is underestimated, or probably people don't even understand it. A small relayer for one DAO, a huge step for the entire ecosystem. You can, on one hand, call it the missing piece for DAOs. On the other, it's not really missing. We are using it. Just we have to ourselves give it more significance and then probably promote it. Well done. If no one has any commentary on the Treasury presentation, we could probably talk on one more subject before we end the call, because we're already past the usual 1 hour. It's up to you guys. We could either chat about ETH Denver, codeless conduct, coordinate, or the swapper single token staking. Any preference?
I don't know if we'll solve any of those today, but I think the one that we should be working towards, I guess, is by Tuesday. We were talking about trying to have some consensus on the swapper farming stuff. So I don't know if there's any, and we were kind of hoping to chat about it a little bit today and maybe also on Monday swapper call, but I don't know if anyone had any thoughts on things we need to, the outstanding items on the swapper farming that we need to finalize before trying to get that consensus on Tuesday.
Correct. Yeah. Out of those, this is really the topic with the highest weight, and we kind of, if we leave it, it's weighing on the shoulders of Venki. Venki, have you got anything to say? How you feel about this?
So swap the product is ready. Swapper is ready with doing swapper staking, but then now I see that we have different opinions on how we should do it, because we've been late. We initially assumed that we might probably do the staking around mid-December, but now that we have more swapper circulating, just wondering if we should just increase the staking cap.
All right. I wonder whether some polls in the Jitsi chat could help us.
Well, I guess, thank you. You can do maybe someone do the poll, but what is the, I guess, rationale for the staking cap? Because I think we would want to have more and more people like depositing their swapper. And I guess the staking cap is there to give some guarantee rate to early depositors. But I think it's like we were kind of talking about before. Some of those early depositors are probably going to be like DXDAO contributors or people that are like very involved in the community. And so then they would be like locked in that staking cap, when I feel like in general, we want to get like, all people, anyone to lock up the swapper.
Yeah. So the initial thought towards having the staking cap was one, to give a promised APY, and the second is to make sure that people are actually LPing as well. So if we end up having a lot of swapper that is staked, and then if you don't have enough swapper in swapper XDAI or swapper ETH, there might be a problem. So that's also one of the reasons why I kept like about 65% to have a cap, and then leaving 30% for doing LP. But yeah, I'm open to make it unlimited as well, without a staking cap as well.
So what are we expecting with the staking cap to have in APR?
20% and about for the limited pool, and then for the locked pool, and then about, I think, 10% for the unlocked pool.
So in my mind, someone that, like, if we just think about the purpose of the pool, is basically giving swapper a reason give users or community a reason to not dump the token and have it being used to something. That APY, that APR is not, in my mind at least, high enough comparing it with the risk of holding like Swapper. But also another thought I had is I'm pretty sure like if we do a capped pool, I'm pretty sure that pool will be filled mostly by us. I know that the DXDAO contributors hold a lot of Swapper, and I'm happy about that, obviously. But I'm just thinking about the reason why we're doing these pools, these staking pools, and also just if the purpose is not making Swapper being dumped instead of having it being used somewhere, then we need to think of who is actually staking here, and is it worth it? I'm just thinking, because we already talked about lowering this Swapper incentives, especially on networks where we don't see it, helping much with the volume and fees. If we already gonna decrease the rewards, and then we're gonna basically introduce more rewards somewhere else, we kinda working against ourselves here.
Yeah, and just to clarify, so it's not misconstrued as it's recorded, when Zed guesses that most of the members of the DAO are holding Swapper, this is something that they have bought on the market on their own, and it's not some internal token distribution.
That's correct. So just to clarify that,
yeah,
we haven't distributed any team tokens, and when we do, most likely it will be vested. So this is totally like if anyone holds that it would be farmed or bought up. So it's people can do, like workers can do whatever they want with their Swapper. I'm not saying they can't stake it, but I'm guessing we are long-term holders, all of us, and the purpose of these staking pools would most likely be for people farming or buying and like long-term holding. But
yeah, but basically what Zed is primarily saying is, when we look at the total current circulating supply that's not in the treasury, and how much of it is provided as liquidity on exchanges, then it turns out that more than 8 million is in wallets. And if we do the single token staking, and everybody who's got it just hodling in their wallets put it in those staking campaigns, it will not help in any way achieve the goal to dampen sell pressure, because farmers will still be farming new tokens from the reward emissions, and they could still sell it, especially if the campaigns have capped size.
Yeah, or the TVL, or the APY goes down way low, right? So even the uncapped one, like if everyone stakes in that one, the APY goes down way low.
Which is
isn't giving a like at least an option for people to stake? How is that any worse than what it currently is?
What is the purpose of it? Just like the option from the community side is one thing, but from our side, what is the purpose of it?
I can just give my 2 cents on. Oh, sorry, Sky.
Go ahead.
Like just my view on like why we set out on this path. Like I view this feature and effort as a temporary bridge to Swapper governance, where we would have the ability to lock Swapper in the Swapper guild and use it. So it's basically a filler of like something to do with Swapper, like until we launch governance. Now, when we set out to work on this, the price of Swapper was quite a bit higher, the market cap much healthier, right? So this is obviously subjective, but I think like if the market cap is as low as it is, there's less of an impetus, I think, to like incentivize people to hold it because I don't know. I mean, there's already the incentive of it's got a pretty low valuation, but that's
if you wanted to dump, you've already dumped, right? Like there's not like I think as Nathan was saying, like that 8 million swapper is like probably people are going to be holding that regardless, and like are you going to change any behavior in that? I think to Sky's point, I don't think there is a downside. Like the downside of this is extra swapper emissions. And I think that extra swapper emissions is not even going to lead to sell pressure because presumably this would be people who are not selling swapper either. It would just be a different distribution of the token to those that like already hold the token. I do think it could be not just a showcase for upcoming governance, but also a showcase for swapper single-sided staking feature in general, and maybe like as a way to get like other projects involved with that. But another idea that we had talked about before was like maybe the reward is a swapper token, but maybe it's a carrot with a swapper token, because I think that group is a group that we do want to incentivize with high upside if swapper does well. So we could even make the reward for the single-sided staking a carrot on the overall swapper TVL, so that those invested in kind of the long-term future benefit if swapper TVL increases over the next couple months, and that's another way to do it. But really, I don't think this is going to, regardless of what we do, I don't think this is going to introduce like more or less sell pressure on swapper. I think it is mostly like the distribution to people that are already long and bullish on swapper.
Nathan, you were talking about like the amount of swapper coming out in the epoch, right? Like it's like a pretty sizable amount, right? And so we've like the question is, who is that going to? It's still going to farmers, like farmers who want dollars. And so even though the price is low, like if you're giving these people another option, it can't hurt, because there's still a lot of swapper coming out through emissions. So why are we thinking that they won't sell it? Like they've been selling it the entire time, so why wouldn't they continue to sell it if they don't have another option, right?
So I guess you're saying the normal swapper token emissions from people that are farming other swapper pairs, people that have been farming those and selling the swapper, they can now farm those and maybe deposit the swapper into the single-sided staking.
Yeah.
And maybe that's and I guess like in general, yes, there are emissions going on now, but just like there's just less selling because it's like there's less, like that already kind of happened before. And so I think there's like not that, I don't think there's that many people that are farming and dumping swapper anymore. But maybe we could look further into this. I haven't really checked.
Yeah, we'd have to like, you could really analyze like which wallets were getting it and dumping it, and then are they still getting it? Up to the last epoch, but that's some decent analysis. But if it's, I don't see why they would not be doing it if they were already doing it, unless there's a better opportunity. Yeah.
So like if we say, hey, we create this single token staking campaign to demo single token staking and to demo like basically staking swapper and like teach our community to do that, then that's like for me that's a good reason. But if the reason is only to make basically farmers not dump swapper token, then I'm a little bit hesitant. But I'm open for demoing our features we are launching. It is very cool, and we're also planning to do single token staking for other tokens, right? So it is a good demo by basically, and we will learn a lot from having this campaign if we have it. That like we should expect like the APY won't be that high, right? we should maybe keep it uncapped, but have some kind of locking. Maybe we could decide we could maybe have one campaign with 1 month, or another one with 3 months, and then just uncap both of them, and have let it have its own life.
Something that has an influence of the efficiency of the campaign and its attractiveness is not that much the locking, rather the capping, because we know a lot of the token is in wallets, but we don't know on which network. And if we cap the size of the campaign on a certain network, then basically we have to guess how much we're going to get on that network. And if we try to fix it at a certain APR per certain pool size and stick to that, if it attracts less, it's just going to be a few people getting a lot more rewards. And on the other network, we'll have a lot of people getting less than the rewards in an uncapped pool. And Carrot can help with that. Instead of capping pools and trying to guess how much we would get on which network, we could make it so that the Carrot campaign will follow a range and see how many tokens are locked in the campaign, staked in the campaign, and distribute a fixed APR no matter how much it fluctuates, whether the amount of staked tokens in the campaign goes down or up. It will always be 10% or 20% or whatever we want it to be. But if we don't use Carrot, people will either get less than the percent we are aiming for or more than that. And on what Sky said about farmers, imagine an LP in the Ether Badger pool. That person is getting 80% APR. So it's pure mathematics. Like if they are earning 80% APR with Swapper tokens in that pool, they would rather sell them and compound on their LP position, buy more Badger and buy more Ether, and keep earning 80%, even though the token is getting devalued, rather than lock what they're earning in a single token staking to earn 10% on top of that. So those guys will pretty much be still dumping.
Well, yeah, originally the plan with Badger, they were willing to actually work with DXDAO. And if we had something to do with the token, they were actually going to do that with the token, because it's Badger, the system, that's actually doing it. And so the issue is we didn't have anything to do with the token, so we forced them to auto compound. You see, they were gonna sacrifice for us basically, but
it was noble.
Yeah.
We have a sense of if we roll out the single-sided token staking, whether Badger would still be willing to integrate that.
I wonder if we ask them in the Telegram group, how much Swapper are you holding right now? And I think it would be 0.
Right, but like Sky was saying, this was pretty explicit, I think, up front. They said, we're willing to allocate Swapper if there's like some additional way to get like yield on it, I think directly. Was that what they said? Like, I don't know. That's my like remembering of it. But yeah, but if there wasn't, then they were that was kind of the understanding all along, that it was going to auto compound, i.e. like dump the Swapper.
Yeah, it's a hairy dilemma.
Would it make sense to put this to a vote for the swapper token?
I think you need some insight here, and not just ask. But we could try. But it would be weird if we made it a vote and then we decide something else.
This is the funny thing about token governance. This is why we are much better with reputational governance, because we already passed 2 snapshot votes for the single token staking, and token holders voted yes. But it's at the end of the day a responsibility of the core contributors involved with the project on a daily basis to pull this off. And even though token holders voted yes, if it somehow is perceived as a failure in the end, they're going to blame the core contributors, right? So this is a failure of token governance, liquid token governance.
Well, I mean, if it was, we had the vote for it, it's been on the roadmap, it's a new feature, it sort of feels like we should run a campaign with it, right? Even if it's not the biggest of campaigns.
I was just wondering, I mean, if we do a locked swapper for a year, and then is it possible that when governance starts, we can pause staking and let users unstake? Is that possible?
If it's locked, I mean, it will actually be locked for the whole year. There's no undoing that.
Yeah, I was thinking if it would be possible for them to use their LP tokens in the guild alongside liquid swapper.
No, well, so LP tokens, yes. For locked tokens in the farming campaigns, there is no like ERC20 that represents that position. Like it's just locked in that contract, and your address can get those out, but there's no representation. There's no token that gets emitted from the campaign to the depositors for their position. So the only way to actually be able to do that would to special case the farm in the swapper governance, which would probably be a bit annoying to kind of add that as a feature.
Okay.
Yeah, Chris is suggesting some middle ground, some kind of like golden path to make this materialize after all. We do have some, word from DXgov dev team that we will have the guild around Q2. Whether that would be in the beginning or towards the end, we don't know. So
I think what Chris says makes sense, that we do a locked campaign and it's uncapped. So we also do carrot reward with swapper XDIRS. That will be like, what will be the range of, what will be the TVL of swapper XDI or a swapper with during this 2 or 3 months, whatever campaign period it is. Right, so it will have like maybe 50% swapper as a direct reward and another 50% as a carrot reward. Is that how you're also seeing, Chris?
Yeah, I think it is like a compromise solution that, but yeah, I would think that you just put half of the rewards in carrot one that's based on overall swapper performance, so that only pays out if swapper does well. And I feel like we have to do a shorter locked campaign if we're going to do locked campaign, just because of the governance stuff that we wouldn't be able to do anything until that campaign is over.
Okay. Will this work? I mean, let's ignore the timeline for now. But does this will this work? Nathan said.
I mean, one additional wrinkle is Arbitrum is where the biggest swapper ETH pool is, but I don't know if we would do the carrot campaign there. So that single-sided staking would presumably just be swapper rewards.
I mean, it sounds good, I guess. I think we just should be already talking about lowering on the farms, the rewards there. We should also think about just what we give out in the single token staking rewards, just so we know like what the reason are for doing these campaigns. But if we're demoing the product and giving a reason to stake, then I'm happy with that. And obviously we wanna sync with the governance release. We want to make people actually stake for governance, and that's where Swapper starts to get interesting.
Crazy thought here. We kind of had a soft agreement with Badger DAO that we will run this for 2 or 3 months, and it's kind of ran its course. I wonder, because they have found a good home in Swapper on Arbitrum, and they're getting good volume because people are trading Badger and IBBTC. They would still be generating as LPs good rewards from fees, from trading fees, from a protocol. I wonder if we severely reduced the rewards and make it so that we announce it launching, say, a month from now, so they will stop selling whatever they're earning right now, start accumulating as much as they can get their hands on, and then when the single token staking starts, the only way for them to earn rewards would be in that campaign and no longer through farming. Like turn them from farmers into governors, as Keenan says. And then if they are smart enough to accumulate enough Swapper, then they can govern the protocol and decide to distribute fees to the Badger pools in the future when the community will be voting on which pools to incentivize.